Anthropic just shipped Claude Opus 5. I spent the week reading their migration guide, line by line. 3 of their own recommendations flipped between the last model and this one. If your prompt hasn't changed, it's already working against you. Opus 5 launched this month. Same price as Opus 4.8, dollar for dollar. Update 1 string in your code. On paper, that's a free upgrade. But developers are reporting a chattier, slower agent. One that keeps asking permission it never used to ask for. Here's the number everyone will lead with. $5 per million input tokens. $25 per million output tokens. That's the exact rate Opus 4.8 already charged. Nothing in your code has to change to run Opus 5. That's exactly why this is dangerous. The model ID is a one-line swap, but your system prompt is a set of corrections. Corrections tuned to a model that behaved differently. 3 of those corrections flipped from fix to bug. I found all 3 in Anthropic's own guide. Anthropic changed what happens when your code says nothing about thinking. On Opus 4.8, that silence meant no reasoning at all. On Opus 5, that same silence runs adaptive thinking by default. And here's the part that bites. Max tokens now caps thinking and your final answer together. A tight limit can now cut your answer off mid-sentence. Every prompting course teaches the same trick. Tell the model to double-check its work before responding. Anthropic's own guide says to delete that instruction on Opus 5. Their exact words. It verifies its own work without being told to. Leaving the old instruction in causes over-verification. The fix that helped on every earlier model is now the bug. 2 model generations moved in one direction, and Opus 5 just reversed it. Opus 4.7 spawned fewer subagents than Opus 4.6 by default. Less delegation, generation after generation. Opus 5 breaks that pattern completely. It delegates to subagents more readily than any earlier model. Anthropic's fix here isn't a number. It's a plain warning. Add your own scope or your own cap, because the default just moved out from under you. Strip away the specific defaults. Here's the mechanism underneath all 3 inversions. A model ships with some default behavior. You write a correction on top of it, because the default got something wrong for your use case. That correction only works because it's sized to that exact default. Move the default, and the same correction now overshoots. This isn't an Opus 5 story, specifically. It's what happens every time you upgrade a model. And don't reread your own prompt. There are 5 effort levels on Opus 5. Low, medium, high, and max. Almost nobody retunes them after a model swap. Anthropic's guide draws the line at high. That's where hard coding work already ran on Opus 4.8. On Opus 5, that same guide says start 1 level down. At high, for most of that same work. There's a second, quieter note in the same section. Lowering effort reduces thinking, not necessarily how long your visible answer runs. For that, the fix is to prompt for it directly, not to touch the effort dial. 2 more changes shipped in the same release. Neither one made a headline. The minimum prompt length you can cache dropped on Opus 5 from 1,024 tokens down to 512. Prompts too short to cache before, now cache, with 0 code change. And separately, Opus 5 sits in its own rate limit bucket. It doesn't share that pool, not with 4.8, 4.7, 4.6, or 4.5. So moving traffic over frees nothing on the old side. Anthropic publishes exactly what changed, in more detail than almost any other lab publishes about anything. What they don't publish is why these specific defaults move the way they did. Every explanation you hear for that is inference, including anything I've implied in this video, not something either of us actually read on their page. So here's the one sentence worth keeping. A model upgrade doesn't just change the model. It changes what your prompt is correcting for. The next time a model you use gets an upgrade, don't just swap the string. Go reread your own prompt first.